Wow. Good morning, guys. So another update just came out, or is rolling out from Google right now. But I wanted to start this video and dive into why the older kind of niche site income school method of creating content doesn't work. How that's related to Google's latest updates, and basically what you can do to not have to worry about that as much, about the old method of content and getting hit by a core update. So I just pulled some of their sites off the Income School site. And now I don't think these sites work anymore. They might work for you. I'm not saying don't try it. I'm not saying that their strategy doesn't work as a whole, but you need to approach it from a different mindset if you're going to be creating content sites like this. So I just added all their sites into SEMrush just to get a closer look of how things are performing. I do remember this site from a while ago because I did have a website in the same niche, but over the past 2 years, traffic has just been steadily declining. As you can see, it got absolutely decimated by the latest, or by the September helpful content update, keywords and perceived traffic. Another one of their sites saw a little bump after that update, but again, steady decline over the past 2 years. This site, steady decline over the past 2 years. ImprovePhotography.com. Cabin Freedom never took off, especially one of their case study sites, and just never worked. 7yearolds.com, again, just kind of peaked about 2 years ago and then has just flatlined since. They sold this one, Embora Pets, again, steady decline over the past 2 years. CamperReport.com, very steady decline over the past 2 years, and this probably does correlate with some other core updates. So looking at one of their sites, which happened to be quite a huge site, Improve Photography, and I think this was actually from the from one of the founders of Income School. So overall, just from a user experience perspective, right, the padding here is not fantastic. What I found interesting is, so my argument for these content sites is you can't build these micro niche sites, right? So I think the Income School method is you can build a full-time income with 100 posts or 200 posts, and build it at this, which right now is kind of a small authority site. I don't think that's the case anymore. This website has 432 pages of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got over 2,000 articles, right? But the problem is, and the problem with a lot of these sites, and even the problem I've had with some of mine, is when you go back, when you just go to like the first few articles here, right? This one doesn't even have a featured image, but there's been no improvements made. So this is just, I don't know when this was posted, 2018. So this is quite a while ago, right? There's no headings, there's no external links, there's not even any internal links. It's huge blocks of text. The formatting of the actual page is terrible. I think it's supposed to show an ad here, but there's no menu. It's just from a helpful content, from a user experience point of view, these pages are just not. Right, this one's a bit better, but still, it's too short. It doesn't really provide enough information, right? It's a separate explanation. It's just not great, right? Like, I don't know what this huge space here is from, but it doesn't really give the user a sense of authority. It's not really providing helpful content for what they're looking for. And this is going to be the same across a lot of their content, right? I mean, this is just, the formatting here is just awful, and the content is just not helpful enough. So Google, a lot of this does stem, and these sites were hit before this, before their update in December. But with Google's shift towards the EEAT, which is now EEAT, where they're focusing on experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness, right? So the core of that update of Google's aim with that, they're now using this. They're now using these factors to evaluate search results to determine if content is helpful and relevant, right? That's the key of their strategy for their EEAT rating. So what they've said, I've summarized this, right? What Google has said is the content needs to show that it was created with some sort of first-hand knowledge and expertise. And where I see the problem with here is, right, there's no author box, and when you do click Jim's author name here, right, it just says, you know, it's got a link to his other sites. there's nothing really here indicating that he has really any experience with photography besides the fact that he's written, a couple hundred posts. It doesn't there's no links to his Flickr, for example, which is a photography site. There's no links to anything he's been published in. There's not a link to his LinkedIn. It's a very, very short about page for Jim. And then even the about page for the site, I think, is very short. It doesn't really, if you would visit this, right, it's even a grainy photo. And again, it's just linked to his other site. So this is his first published photo, but it doesn't show where it was published, right? There's not really, just right off the bat, there's no signals here indicating to Google that this is somebody that's legitimate, that they're trustworthy, that they have any authority in photography, right? So you're starting off on the wrong foot just from there. And this is going to apply across the entire site. And so context does matter. This is where I think Google's heading in the sense of you can no longer build these micro niche sites or small authority sites, right? You're going to need a site with thousands of articles, thousands of posts, which this post does have. But again, for a site of photography, there's way more categories than just this, right? It's the structure of the site from a authority, from a relevance standpoint for photography. This just isn't going to work, right? And let's check actually this dirt bike site, because I recall looking at this one in the past. Recommended gear, bike setup, riding tips. Yeah, so even this one, there must be other categories, but it doesn't have breadcrumbs either. Yeah, I can just tell this is all ChatGPT content. Right, so there's not even any categories here for this site, for example, right? Recommended gear, bike setup, dirt bikes. Like, how is just dirt bikes a category for a dirt bike website, right? What kind of dirt bikes? 250cc, 500cc, 2-stroke, 4-stroke, electric, gas, right? Riding tips, even recommended gear. Why isn't there helmets, gloves, jackets, boots, pants, that kind of thing, right? And there's no about at the top. Probably have to go to the bottom here. Right, it's the same guy, it shows Jim. But again, nothing really here that indicates that these are even real people. Their faces aren't shown. This hasn't been updated since 2020. So you can see here from an authority standpoint, from a trustworthiness standpoint, there's nothing that would indicate that these people should be trusted. It's not to say the content is bad, but it's just there's no real signals here to help Google determine this is a trustworthy site. The other thing that was really interesting to me, and which is why I think websites like Reddit and Quora have been pumped to the top of the search results, is that from their own article here, right? Google states that their aim is to capture the nuances of how people search for information, which at the end of the day, when someone searches for something, they want quick results, right? A lot of times people do add that Quora or Reddit modifier, especially because they want to see what other people have to say about the information they're looking for. So for example, if you're looking for, in this context, a dirt bike helmet, maybe you're not heading to Reddit for that. But if you're looking for photography information, right? Let's say, let's just choose a random tip here. Best Lightroom presets, right? If you were somebody looking for best Lightroom presets, you're probably interested to see what other people have to say from that Reddit context or from that Quora context, right? Because these are people actually using the presets. The information is going to be a lot easier to digest, which is the direction Google started to head in with their featured snippets, and which they will now fully head into with the Google Bard AI. And again, a lot of people probably don't want to be reading through all this. It doesn't even actually show the preset, right? There's not even any preset links, just to further highlight the quality of this content. But yeah, to kind of wrap things up here, because I think I'm rambling, I don't think the income school method works that well anymore, unless you approach it from a kind of a hyper authority standpoint. You really are going to need a huge website with somebody that knows what they're talking about, not using just a fully AI generated content if you want to be ranking sites. And you really need to be focusing on making the site seem legitimate, or being a real person that has the perceived, at least, experience on that content. And if I was in this position now, wanting to create these content sites, I would be building a silo of 1,000+ posts, Trying to find somebody relevant enough that I can at least get to verify the content once I write it, just so you can link to their profiles online or things they've had published, or even if it's yourself, something you are passionate about, where you can highlight that you do have that expertise, that authority on the topic. But yeah, I will probably make another video about setting up a huge content site and how I would go about that. That's all I want to talk about today. As always, guys, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.